Bones from Broken Homes. This is a podcast for musicians and artists alike. My name is Mark.
And I'm Renegade.
And we're going to talk with folks about anything from new releases to tour stories.
The good, the bad, and the worst. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi, my name is John Underwood. I'm from Reno, Nevada, and I perform as John Underwood as my solo project and in a bunch of other projects.
How would you describe yourself and your music?
Myself? Well, I'm a Gemini, so I'm two-sided, I guess. I hear. My music is very folk, klezmer, and bluegrass inspired, and there's probably hints of jazz in there too. Not that I like jazz. Combo jazz gets me irked a little, but I'm into all the big band stuff. And
I hear so much Tom Waits in there, dude. That's from my perspective.
Tom Waits is definitely
so much love on it.
A big influence now.
How long have you been active as John Underwood, like as an artist,
as a solo artist?
Yeah, like as John Underwood.
I've been doing it for about 4.5 years now. I picked up a looper summer, whatever summer it was, 4.5 years ago. It's 2019, so 2015. The looper took me about 3 months to pull together to be able to actually do a live show, and I did my first show not in Reno, Nevada. I just went ahead and booked a tour with my friends. I was like, I'm just gonna put myself out there.
I tried the looper and I can't do it.
I did my first show in San Francisco, and it went really well. I got a good response from the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad you're doing it.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. Where did the name come from?
Yeah, that one you did. Well, I guess we didn't have to ask that one, but I'm assuming your folks gave it to
you. Yeah, I think my parents came up with it. I guess they wanted to name me John Paul, both because of the Beatles songwriters and because of relatives of ours. And at the time, there was a pope called John Paul, and they were afraid that I would get quite a rousing for having that name. So they ended up naming me John David, which David, I believe, is my mother's brother.
Oh, okay.
So,
Cool.
And, so John Underwood is birthed by
with your name too. A lot of the time, like, I can't just call you John. It's always John Underwood. Like, just for clarification, because like I'll talk to people and John this, John that, and people are like, hey, John. Like, there's so many different Johns, but when you say John Underwood, it's like bam, you know exactly who you're talking about.
All my Reno friends and people from years ago also know me as Johnny D, because I used to go by that.
Awesome. What do you do outside of music? What do you do for fun?
Music.
Yes, that's the best answer.
I like to dirt bike and snowboard, but I haven't gotten to do either but maybe once in the past year because I've been so focused on touring and music.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We've been working hard on the garden at the house and trying to make keep the space clean so that we can have a show there every once in a while. And you're the next show.
Yes, I'm so excited. Yeah, we're so stoked.
So.
Do you have any furry friends, and what are their names?
Yes, we have 3 furry friends living at the house now. We just got one right before tour started, and we didn't want to pick her up before tour started, but it was kind of like she wasn't getting the attention she needed there, and we wanted to go get her home and get her comfortable, and then we asked a friend to look after her, and our friend has fallen in love with her. So I haven't talked about her. She's a ferret. We got a ferret finally. I'd never had a ferret before. I've always wanted one, and she's just the sweetest one. And our friend that's been looking after her has told her that she now wants a ferret. So this ferret has now turned 3 people into wanting a ferret.
Yeah.
So
You don't have a problem with like the smell at all? Because
she's
I always hear
not,
people.
as long as you bathe her,
They don't bother me at all.
like at least once a week and keep her clean, her cage clean. The smell hasn't been a problem. She's definitely not a smelly ferret either,
Yep.
though.
Good.
So that's Etta James, and then we have 2 cats. Black one, that's my little boy. His name's Ignite, and he's like 13 years old. I think he's turning 13 in May. And then Amy's cat is Maisie, and she's a white Siamese, and she's a sweetheart.
Oh, yeah. I just want to mention for the record, we're outside at a park, and that's why we keep hearing car sounds. Let's see. I don't know. Renegade.
What is your most recent release and your tour plans that you're working on right now in the midst of? Where you headed, I guess?
My most recent release. Well, I mean, the last thing I put out was almost a year ago. Was my solo album, and I'm still pushing that hard right now. But I'm probably gonna go home after this tour and start recording the next album, because I have about 6 songs at least that I have in mind that are ready for going
That's
on to the
awesome.
next album.
Cool. Can't wait to hear it.
And my pirate band, the Deadly Gallows, has been working hard for the last 6 months on an album. I basically need to go home and do mixing and mastering.
Cool.
Oh,
yeah.
And we'll be putting that out later this year, I hope.
Cool.
So those are my big things with releases.
How is it juggling between projects too?
It's tough because I disappear so much, but I've been trying to work my tours a little bit smarter this year, so I have more time home. And I'm about to have a grip of time home for the next month and a half before the next tour, which
Cool.
I'm booking a tour right now in June to go out to Pawnstock, which is this festival in Nebraska.
Oh, cool.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of our friends are on it, and then I gonna run back through the Pacific Northwest back home on that tour, and then I'm booking another run. I'm waiting to get confirmations from some festivals out in North Dakota, but I'm gonna try to play my first time out in North Dakota in August and do a couple festivals up there, and then couple festivals in Southern California,
Cool.
and then Punks in the Woods and Labor Day
we were thinking
weekend.
about trying to do it too.
Go, please, please
I
go.
want to
Come,
so bad.
come hang out. It's a lot of fun
Yep.
all weekend.
We plan to have this whole big old thing planned out. We haven't booked anything of it yet, but I'm just like thinking we should just scrap it and just try to make it to. We need to make it to Punks in the Woods.
Punks in the Woods is fun. It's worth going to.
Hell yeah.
Labor Day weekend.
So let's talk about your tour rig. Like what kind of van, car, drive, like anything you drive. What do you move around in?
All right, so right now we're traveling around in a 2005 Chevy Astro, which is amazing because it's got all-wheel drive and it handles like a king in the snow. We only hit weather once on this tour, and it was coming from Bozeman to Coeur d'Alene. But it wasn't a big deal, and the great thing about our rig is my girlfriend very much insisted on putting in a bed. So I manufactured a bed that fits inside there that lifts up with some gas lifts that can support up to 200 pounds. And
That's awesome.
so we just put all our stuff on top of the bed, lift the bed up, and all the instruments are hiding under there, or most of them. When I pack it right, I can get everything but the trombone and the trumpet and cajon.
That's impressive, actually, because you have a lot of instruments in your setup.
And
so
I even
that's
have more this trip.
Yes!
I brought.
I love it. Just
I have the
keep adding.
mandolin now.
Yeah.
And then I recently found a viola on Craigslist for like $100. So I
That's awesome.
picked up a viola, and I've been messing around with the viola on top of the violin, so I can just keep practicing doing more bow work, because that's one of the things I'm struggling the most with.
I don't know too crazy much about the viola, but it's the slightly larger, deeper tone, right? Or am I?
Yeah, it's just a fifth lower, I believe.
Okay. Is it so? It's in C or I don't know.
Yeah, the lowest note is
I
the
wouldn't
lowest note is C instead of
okay.
G.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's see. What about favorite tour location that you've ever been? Like, I know it's a really hard one, but like, is there a number one that stands out that you're like, this is the best place that I've ever?
My favorite house venue is the Bomb Shelter in Tacoma.
Yep, that's such a good one.
Which I'm a little torn that I couldn't book the Bomb Shelter on this tour because last night I was lucky enough to get to open for Peculiar Pretzelman at Wally's House of Booze in Wenatchee, and that show was an amazing show too. So, and that's another place that I definitely think very highly of.
Yeah, every time we've been there, it's been absolutely amazing. If you could tour anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I know these ones are.
Well,
there's so many places.
Yeah, I mean, I have places I already am looking at trying to book tours in the future. Up on my list next is Alaska and Hawaii. I would like to figure out how to do both of those, as well as I want to go do Europe.
Well, is Alaska and Hawaii going to complete the 50 states for you too?
Well, and that's the other thing is the big thing I'm working on right now is doing all 50 states, and even I want to do all 50 states with my solo project because I don't know, it means a little bit more to me that I worked hard to book it all and make it all happen. And I've been working hard. I'm trying to get basically everything west of the Mississippi taken care of this year so that I can just start focusing on getting the East Coast figured out after that. Yep. Because I'm working through it. I don't know how many I'm at. I think I would guess in the 30s.
Well, you've been around a while. It's probably pretty up there, right?
Like, I guess it's in the 30s.
Dang.
That's awesome.
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so if you could tour with any artist at all, living or not, who would it be? If from any era, anybody. I know these are all like, come on, guys, like. No pressure.
Yeah. No pressure. Does that mean I'm supposed to say Robert's Roost?
Oh no.
I don't know. That's a hard question because now that I have toured with friends, I know that different people are easy to tour with or hard to tour with, and the biggest reason I tour with Shoot Dang is because they're like the two easiest people to tour with. I love to be able to tour with them. Yeah. But let's be nostalgic. Dirty Kid Discount.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'd love to play with that band on the road again, and that would actually be more. That would be more fun to me than
that's a good one. That's a good
than
answer.
any other idol that I could play with.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Okay, here's a big one. Give me your craziest tour story. Good or bad.
Good or bad.
You know, just
anything,
something
like,
that left a really big impression on you.
Just as one of those stories where like I can't make this up. This is just ridiculous. Like.
The one that always comes to mind is when Dirty Kid was doing our U.S. tour, and it was a 47-day tour, so it was a very exhausting, and with 8 of us, there's not a lot of room in that van, so I shared a seat with Jesse in the back, and it was uncomfortable. And we didn't get very many showers, and there was never enough food, and right near the end of it, we were had to do an overnight drive from Phoenix to San Diego. And we were all excited to go to San Diego because Aaron's folks live there, and they are sweethearts and take care of us. They totally parent us. And we were not supposed to take the low road that goes by the border. We were supposed to take the higher interstate to get to San Diego. So we didn't have any thoughts about having weed on us because this is before weed legal states was a thing. And Jesse and I woke up in the back seat at like 7 a.m. No clue where we are, no signal on our phones, so we can't really tell where we are. And I'm just like, hey bud, you wanna smoke a bowl? And we're like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh no!
And we just roast a bowl. Not 5 minutes down the road, do we see a sign about border patrol, and you have to go through the border patrol, and
You can't just turn around.
the whole vehicle like gets woken up by just like the emergence of like, hey guys, we have to go to a border patrol. Like, we just smoked a bowl back here.
Smells like pot in here.
So rolled down windows and
Grab the dryer sheets.
started like collecting everybody's stuff and putting it all in one collection. And we ended up pulling over, and there was talk about dropping it. And we're like, that's fucking crazy too. And I don't think we should get rid of it. But I mean, Jay was very insistent on us dropping it, and it was like the group, all the guys sort of conceded and were okay with it. The girls got in his face and said, no, this band has been on tour for far too long that if we get rid of that, we're all gonna kill each other, and it won't matter what happens after. And we proceeded through, got back on the road, and of course the dog smelled it, and they had to take us all out of the van and they talked to Jay separately from all of us, and they basically just were kind of teasing us but asking us questions over at the thing where 3 security guards were basically asking us about the band, and Ben was just bragging about Dirty Kid Disc Channel. It's like, you check us out on Facebook.
Yes, Ben. Oh my god.
And the dude said, I will, but if I don't like it, I'm going to be really upset. And all the meanwhile, the other dude's talking to Jay about searching the van, and Jay says that it's a rental. He rents it to bands, so he can't be in control of what people have on their private collection, and he's not aware of if anybody has any drugs, but it's possible, and he can't vouch for that. And the dude said, just like, well, our dog smelled that your van smelled like weed, and he said, I work on a pot farm back in Portland where it's actually legal. I guess it was legal in Oregon at the time. And so it sits in a farm all day long. I'm not surprised it reeks of weed. And the dude's like, all right, well, let's cut to the chase then. We're really just looking for mass amounts of weed. Do you guys have mass amounts of weed? Because we have to. And Jay was like, no. It's like, all right, we're gonna let the dog do a check. And then dog does a check through the car, doesn't find any of our stuff.
No.
Jay forgets a fucking grinder in the front.
Oh no.
Dog spots it, but grinder's empty. It has nothing in it. It's just like
just smells
half
like,
open, just smells like the guy sees it and doesn't even bat an eye at it. Couldn't find anything else in the car, and
oh my god.
And they just send us on our way. It's just like the most unbelievable thing. Like, that seemed like it could have gone a whole
much
lot worse.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that had me on the edge of my seat for a minute there. I was like, oh no, how is that? Yeah, because that's like one of my worst nightmares, because we smoke pot, but then we drive through those areas too, and it's just like so, no.
Yeah, no, I know.
So this one, now we're gonna get weird with it. Any paranormal stories? Any kind of weird, creepy things like
Aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, the usual.
the usual? We could skip over
And this
these
can be
ones, too.
anything in your life. It doesn't have to be tour related.
Oh,
It can be just about,
yeah,
your
we're gonna start
experiences.
getting into some really weird stuff for in a second here. Like,
I'm sure there is, but I can't. I can't tell you that one's coming to mind off the top of my head. I've been told about some stuff, but I haven't had any personal experiences that I can remember right now.
What about? Okay, so if you could time travel, where would you go, or when would you go? I guess.
Time travel.
Uh-oh. Would you change things? Would you just go watch things? Would you? Or would you be like, that's stupid, that doesn't work? Like, you can't time travel? Like,
Well, I mean, the real answer should be to go change things and make things better.
Yep.
The selfish answer would probably be to go see acts perform that I wanted to see perform that I'll never get to see perform.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely
That's
reasonable.
a good one. Yeah.
And if it was that, probably I feel like Pink Floyd's probably the one I would go back to see in their prime.
That would be
Yep.
amazing. Okay, this one's a question I wrote. Okay, it's not optional. You have an extra toe.
It's not optional.
You have an extra toe, and it can go anywhere on your body except for your feet. Where would you put it?
Weird.
You have to have an extra toe.
And we're about my feet.
Yeah.
Well, where else do I need some extra
Extra traction.
traction?
Balance.
I mean, it'd be you'd look kind of weird, but I guess on your hands so you can play more musical stuff.
Yes, that's a very good answer. I never thought of it that way.
Oh, man. Okay, so is it sock, sock, shoe, shoe, or sock, shoe, sock, shoe?
Wait, I want to go back to the last question.
Oh, no. Yeah.
On my arm, because then I could have one of those double neck like guitar basses, and I could use the toe to play the bass, and I could just chord the guitar.
Such a good answer.
All right.
Ding, ding, we have a winner.
All right, what's the next question? I'm sorry.
Is it sock, sock, shoe, shoe, or is it sock, shoe, sock, shoe?
Sock, shoe, shoe.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, same
I'm the
here.
same.
Okay. Oh, well, this works because this is supposed to be what would happen if you all switched instruments for your whole band.
Oh,
But
well.
you play all the instruments, so it works either way. Cause you're
So
already
what
playing
would
all the
happen if you
instruments.
switched all your instruments around?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What sort of tour shenanigans go on between you and Amy? Is there a certain
Or
thing
or
that-
any other bands?
or any
anything,
bands that you've
Like,
ever been on
You guys play
tour
any
with?
tour games, like shenanigans, like pranks?
Yeah, Boss's Daughter is probably much more entertaining. Amy and I work hard at eating well and getting good sleep, and we also party, but we try to ring it in. But Boss's Daughter, last year for our February tour, we did a tally of drinks on our. We carry laminates for all the tour dates. So whenever people ask you, you can just
Yep.
break out your laminate and you're like, hey, this is the tour. And it seems so much more official.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
totally.
cool. But we put a tally count on the laminates, and we had one Sharpie that we passed around, and you had to we had to keep track of the Sharpie, and then losing the Sharpie was like you're forced to take a drink or something like that. And anyways, so we had to tally it was just beers that we drank on that tour. And the four of us, well, three of us went hard. Chris got sick on the tour, so he couldn't really compete. But the other three of us went really hard, Jamie, Danny, and I. And the final score ended up being it was a 10-day tour. 10-day, yeah, I think it was a 10-day tour. I did 118 and a half beers.
Oh my God.
Damn, 10 days.
Jamie did 120 and a half, and Danny did 121. And a lot of people ask about the half beers. It's like, because sometimes you end up with a beer that either doesn't get finished
Spilled,
or there's like a half a beer that someone's like, hey, you want a half a beer? Like that happens.
It's true.
So, but yeah, we were within 3, and
That's so funny.
that's crazy.
For only 10 days.
Well, okay, so who's in Boss's Daughter? Who's tour mom or tour dad, or who's the one that's always watching over everybody, make sure everybody's okay? There's always that one. I feel like Aaron's that one person when it comes to like touring with the, like Dirty Kid Discount or any of those.
Dirty Kid Discount's hard because there's different people. There's totally Aaron, but also Emily. They both are.
That's true.
Are tour moms, and then Jake can totally be a tour dad. I know that Jay was a tour dad. With Boss's daughter, I guess probably Jamie is the tour mom. He's the sweetest one of the bunch, and always looks out for everyone. And
that's awesome.
still throws down.
I always appreciate the hell out of that stuff. Like,
he's a good dude. Tour dad would probably be Chris, especially now that he has the nice van that he got.
Oh yeah.
Because he's, particular about his van. Just it's his van.
Makes sense. Okay, you do that one.
Me? So this is stupid, but if you could combine any type of vehicle for touring, like a airplane and a boat or whatever, what would you make? Like a crane, so you can put yourself up in a certain place. I don't know, anything. Like stupid shit.
I mean, mine's not going to be creative, but I absolutely want one of those amphibious RVs.
Yes.
Because I would love to be able to float from town to town and play shows, and then be able to get it back on the road and do whatever road travel I need to do for other
Places
chunks of the tour. Yeah. It would be the coolest thing to be able to
That's a
just
good one.
go road and water for a whole tour.
Oh yeah. Okay, what do you guys like to eat on the road?
Oh, lots of sandwiches.
Yeah, that's the way to do
Sandwiches,
it.
salads have been real popular with us lately. Yeah, I don't know. We make some stir fries. We have this. Amy got me this for my birthday a couple of years back. A little cooker that plugs into the 9-volt.
Nice.
Sweet.
That's
And
so awesome.
it's just like a oven, and you can heat up most things that
so
just need to be
cool.
heated up.
How long does it
awesome.
take? Is it slow or is it like?
Most full cook meals are going to take about half an hour, but you can do some things in 15 minutes.
That's pretty good.
That's awesome.
And that's like frozen stuff too,
Oh wow.
which is other things that every once in a while I'll pick up a frozen meal and we can just get away with that.
So what's the first thing you reach for in the morning? You wake up and you're like, reaching for this.
Probably my phone to check the time.
Yeah, I've never heard that one. Mine's coffee for sure.
Yeah, either that or my vape pen for my herb vape pen.
Yep.
That's awesome. On the road, if you can have like a goal, would you prefer to shower weekly or like monthly or like daily? If it was like attainable and every single person offered you one, how often would you do it?
I guess it kind of depends on what the drive times are, but if I have ideal drive times, I would guess maybe every other day.
That's totally reasonable.
Yeah, that's how I do too. Every other day.
Because every day is kind of excessive. I know that I do get sweaty performing, but I don't know that it's so unbearable after a day that I couldn't forego and save myself the trouble of having to.
Yeah. I guess it depends on the time of year too, because like if you're going through Texas and it's the dead of summer
You're
and you're
right.
in Houston, you are drenched, and it just feels nice to take a cold shower sometimes.
If it was summer, I guess it might be daily.
Yeah.
Winter tours probably every other day would be my
totally.
ideal.
Let's see. Okay, so what's the dumbest thing you've been arrested for?
Is it dumber that I haven't been arrested?
Nope, that's totally acceptable. That's actually a really good
That's
answer.
really impressive.
You're either really good at evading or like just.
I guess I got in trouble as a little kid for being out too late, and we tried to run from them and hide in the bushes. But of course, we were stupid enough to get out of the bushes before they had left the area.
Oh no!
It wasn't even like we didn't evade them. It's that we just didn't wait long enough.
You're like, they won't notice. Yep.
Okay, this one's gonna catch you on your toes. 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds to shout out to all your favorite bands.
Go.
Robbers Roost, Shoot Dang, Sparkle Carpet,
Yes.
Rascal Miles, This Machine Kills Gods, JC fucking K, Truck Bed Boys,
Oh, on a roll.
10 Pole Drunk, Larry and His Flask, Third Seven, Dandelion Massacre.
5 more seconds.
Some of your friends.
Good job.
I'm sorry.
That's good. No, that was a good roll.
perfect.
That was a good roll.
Great.
I missed the John Doe boys. Damn it.
There we go. Penalty. You was past 30 seconds. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Where do you find your music? Like stuff that you listen to. Where do you?
The stuff that I listen to, honestly,
Like if you're gonna go search it out or find something.
YouTube. I'm usually just doing YouTube searches and checking out bands that I like and their live videos, and then sometimes it'll get me in a stream of other things that I like, and I can do it all free.
Oh, yeah. I feel like such a weirdo saying it, but YouTube is amazing. You can get everything on YouTube. Anything you want.
I like their
love it.
suggestions too. I've been listening to Spotify lately, and I think what's cool with their stuff is that if I've been listening to, like, say, a certain band, like I like Brown Bird a lot, and I'll listen to their station, and then it'll play, some stuff that it suggests, and I'll say if I like it or not, and then it'll pop up with the playlist that you might like. Sometimes they're on par. They're really good, and it suggests bands that I've never heard, and it's kind of cool that it... Same with YouTube, how it suggests stuff that you might like. Sometimes you find some really cool stuff that you didn't even know was out there.
Okay, we
Pretty
got
rad.
2 more questions. Just
Dang.
2 more questions. And then we'll
Okay.
stop bugging you.
That?
Yup.
Most important thing you think people should hear? Anything in the world. Something that's...
If anybody's listening right now and you want to tell them that, like there's something. Or nothing.
Most important message right now?
Anything. Yep.
I would guess that my newest song is trying to say that, and the newest song's name is Less Trump, More Trumpet.
Yes, I love that song.
But as much as he's the problem, there's so much more problem underneath him, and if he was gone, there would be another person to take over that's also going to make it worse. So, I guess the big thing in that song that I most want to point out is support for trans friends and trying to fight for their safety and their not being redefined by our government.
Smash the hate.
Okay.
Okay, so the last one is so if you wanted at the end of us at the end of this whole deal to play a couple songs of yours, what should we? So that way people at the end of hearing all this will hear some tunes.
I would play something off of my new record. Ignite My Life's the main one. That's my favorite.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean we can do just 1-2 songs. It doesn't matter.
I mean, I would pick any songs off the record.
Yep.
They're all great.
Yeah. Why don't we pick one? He picked one, and we'll pick one. So
Cool.
All right,
Sounds good.
you guys heard it, John Underwood. Right.
Thanks for hanging out
Yeah,
with
thanks
us.
for doing this.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
it. It's
We'll
fun.
see you
Glad we can make this
down
happen on
the road.
tour.
Yeah.
to myself. Get quiet, play music, get quiet. Play my health, never get that feeling. This time, this change, this one can't find. This was happening. Next time won't be the same. As your stuff, think just tomorrow. A little insane, we spend our time. Listen to my fine life. Don't want afraid to live fun. Don't need the pain. Go from there, spend not. Fill my brain with things that excite me. Not my life, fulfill my time I wait. One Scrooge man stands way up into the room, and everyone deaths round with the booze. While they fall in line and get to the top. All this you and your wealth, some go scared men too and lose their hell and change. Learn to dip their stealth, keep filling our lives of the past. Why not? I'm gonna mind to the past that shows wisdom, days of our lives. Make the time fully worth to live. Want my short life, let's talk for myself. Our time, there's no man for life. Don't want afraid to live fun time, don't need the pain. Go from now, spend now. Fill my brain with things that excite me. Not my life, fulfill my the time I wait. one's ever passed out. Did I ever concentrate on disaster for so long with fear of being alone? He'd rather go down with the ship than take down a home. Swamp takes what it calls its own.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If you'd like to seek out or support any of the artists we've hosted today, we've attached links to this episode.
We're pretty darn hardworking artists ourselves, so if you'd like to show us some love and support, you can find us through our music, Robbers Roost.
You got a question for an artist? Send it in. Also, keep a lookout on social media because we plan to release these every Tuesday. Spill the beans, Ren.
Search for Robbers Roost Band on any platform. We got merch, tour dates, and all the fun stuff.
Ragged Bones from Broken Homes. This has been another episode with Mark.
And Renegade.
Stay tuned, folks.
Is that a musician joke?